Hello there, welcome to episode 4 of the Old White Man Show. I call it the Old White Man Show because I'm old, I'm white, and I'm a man. The idea behind this show is just to express some opinions of an elderly person, an old white man, and to give you some history about things that happened in my lifetime that affected me and I think other people probably had things that happened in their life that affected them. So if you can use it, great. If you can't use it, you can just listen to it if you're listening on there. I was born in the New Orleans area. I was one of the, I reckon, World War II babies after after everybody came home, and we was just born into that generation. We moved all over the place, a whole bunch. And I was remembering the other day ago, one place that we moved to, and I was 12. I did my 8th grade there. Was at Beta Springs, Louisiana. And Beta Springs today is known for their beer and a nice little place to live in. But back then, it was just a poor country town, and it was known for its water, Beta water. During the Great Yellow Fever of the early 20th century, a lot of people left New Orleans and they went over and got a Beta water and drank that water for health reasons. And it became famous, that Beta water. When we lived there, we was kind of poor. We Dad started to build a house. We had the shell built with a roof on it, but we didn't have no sheetrock or nothing like that. We had electricity, but we didn't have plumbing in the house. So we had, we set up a toilet in there, and we had it go out to a hole in the ground. We didn't have a septic tank or nothing like that. And then we had a water well next door, and we would bring water in and got our water from the neighbor. And that's how we took our baths and everything. We had a tub and a big wash tub, and you get in there and we all bathe, and that's how you bathed. We just economically on the low side there. Mom was real good at baking, and we buy, she would go buy big old sacks of biscuits. In those days, you buy the sacks that you can make into clothes, so we had lots of biscuits and pancakes that she used to make, and we would bring biscuits to school for lunch. We was able to ride the bus to school, and then after school we would have to do some stuff around the school, and and sports programs and stuff like that, and then we would walk home. It's about a little bit over 3 mile walk, and it wasn't bad. We enjoyed it. We was super skinny back in those days, so it was easy to walk and run. It was a good time. Good times, and it was bad times. It's life is funny because it hits people in all different ways. One of the things I remember about that is down the road they had a lady and her daughter who lived in a house, and the daughter was a beautiful little 11-year-old girl. I thought she was beautiful. And her mother used to have men come to her house all the time, and I reckon they did things to the little girl. And that's how the mama was making money. We found that out, and we told my mom about it. My mom went down there, knocked on the door, and that woman answered the door, and she dragged that woman out that house and just beat the hell out of her. It wasn't soon after that woman moved. That kind of stuff happened back then, and I reckon it happens today. Another thing I remember about a beater that was really, really bad is my dad, when he whooped us pretty good. And we was cutting down some pine trees across the road, and I reckon my brother mouthed off to my dad in a way that he shouldn't have done it. My older brother, he was 2 years older than me, and Dad picked up a pine tree about 1.5 inches in diameter one of the ones we caught, and he just beat my brother so bad with that pine tree, he actually broke the pine tree over my brother's back. And to break a green pine tree is pretty hard. We got whooped really good, but you learn certain lessons from that kind of stuff, like, okay, don't give this guy any lip, because if you do, you can really get beat. That would have been, I reckon, considered child abuse. You know, looking back on it today, back then we were too scared to say anything. We just learned lessons. You know, and life was different. And when you're poor and you're white, and there wasn't no, civil rights actions or nothing like that going on back then. Everybody, if you're just poor, you was poor. There wasn't no welfare, no checks or nothing like that. So if you didn't have food to eat, you didn't eat. So you did what you can do to make life work. And life was a little tough sometimes, but it taught us a good thing. It taught us that you can get out there and do that. You can get out and work and make your own thing, and taught you the value of working every day and not going hungry. My older brothers, both of them was in the service. My brother Matt was in the Marines, and my brother Vincent was in the Army. So they missed that stage of Abita Springs. It was a tough time. Dad ended up getting sick and laid in bed for most of the year. Couldn't do nothing. So we lived on a savings bond that came in from my brother Matt. He sent a $25 bond home. Mom would cash it, and that's what she bought the flour with, and that's basically what we ate off of. So that's the way it was back then. Today we live in a different world. Different things hitting us. I know we got this virus, this coronavirus, Chinese virus, COVID-19, anything you want to call it. We believe it started in China, so Trump called it a China virus. The Speaker of the House, he calls it a Trump virus. She blames it all on him, as if he did it. I don't know who did it. I don't know where it really started from. I don't know who was involved. I do know it exists. I think it's being used for politics to a certain degree. I think that when a lot of people get the virus and a lot of them dies, I don't think it's 150-something thousand, but I think there's a significant amount of people who has died because of the virus. Many more has died because they had other complications. Like Herman Cain had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, so they said that he died of the virus. But I think there's other things, maybe the cancer had something to do with it. People that have heart conditions, diabetes, problems, other problems like that, sometimes they just die because of those problems, even though they say they might have contracted the virus too. And those states that had all those people dying in nursing homes, you got 5 states that account for almost half the deaths in America because they put old people in nursing homes that were sick and they spread it to other people. That's kind of like, oh, he's dumb. That mayor, that governor of New York, he's about, I don't think they come any dumber than that. Either he's real dumb or he's just a murderer and killed all those people. The way I see it. He's just, why would you do something like that? Take the contaminated product and put it in with the good product. It's like taking a rotten apple and throwing it in with a bag of good apples. Well, that rotten apple is going to affect the good apples. Common sense tells you that. It goes back to, I remember learning in school about different things. One of the things that we read about was World War One. In World War One, the United States entered that war in 1917. In 1918, the Spanish flu came out, and we were still in that World War. And the flu probably came out in 1917 or earlier. You know, they just call it the flu of 1918. You know, it was a pretty bad flu. Tens of millions of people around the world died. They said that 50 million died. 500 million was affected by the flu. You know, I know that in the United States, a lot of people died, and we actually lost more soldiers and sailors and Marines to the Spanish flu than we did to German bullets. That's how bad it was. The president at that time, Wilson, made a decision that, you know, because they were saying maybe we shouldn't be in this war because we can't put the troops on the ships because they would get the flu. And he said, no, we know we're going to have a lot of casualties, but we got to stop the Germans. And so he took that chance and sacrificed just as many men going over there to fight Germany than, you know, that actually died over there, you know, fighting the Germans. It was a sacrifice that they did. Nothing good, nothing bad. No one blamed Woodrow Wilson for what he did. We won the war, and Armistice Days, you know, came in 1918, and our soldiers was heroes. You know, today, if I turn on the news media tells me constantly that it's Trump's fault. Well, I don't know if it's Trump's fault or not. You know, I don't think it's any more Trump's fault than the Spanish flu was Wilson's fault. You know, there's a rumor went around back then in 1918 that the Spanish flu actually started in Kansas. It didn't start in Spain. You know, so it could have been an American flu. Who knows? You know, I do know this, that we got a virus that's going around. It's changing the world. It's changed the stock market. There's millions and millions of people unemployed right now, living on government benefits. Things is pretty tough. You know, the only people not affected is the politicians and the rich people. The politicians gave themselves a big raise because, you know, in that first amount of money that they gave to the people, they got a huge raise. They always get raises, you know, they take care of themselves first. That's why they're there. They're not there to represent the American people. You know, now they're fighting over how much money they're going to give this time. And I wonder how much money they're going to give to themselves, or they're going to give to their friends. You know, how many people's relatives got big loans. So just think about it, Google it, do some research, and try to be nice to everybody. This is a time that's hard to agree on anything, with the exception of LSU, the college football national champions, undefeated in 2019. You know, it's kind of hard to argue with that. I was at the Oklahoma LSU game. It wasn't much of a game. Most of Oklahoma left at halftime. You know, I was there, watched the Clemson game. Wasn't much of a game. Alabama never showed up. The only team that showed up last year was the University of Texas. And they got whooped. And that goes to another rumor of the virus. They think that maybe UT started that virus so they wouldn't have to play LSU in Death Valley. You know, could be, I don't know. But see y'all next week. Thank you a lot. Bye-bye.